In the last couple of years, Adobe invested a lot of time and effort into developing mobile apps that can support the type of work you do with their main desktop applications. Specifically for the type of work you do in Illustrator, I would recommend to have a look at 3 of these free mobile apps: Adobe Draw, Comp, and Capture. So as I said, they are free to download and use. The only thing you need to be able to transport these files into your desktop applications is an active Creative Cloud subscription. And as long as you are logged in with the same Adobe ID in the application and on the mobile app, then the transfer is very smooth and the integration is amazing. So let me show you first Adobe Draw, which you can think of as the mobile version of Illustrator. So here's an empty project. Let's just start working on this. So we have our tools here on the left side. Let's start with the basic drawing tool. So all I have to do is start drawing on my screen. I can use my fingers or I can use a stylus. And if I tap again on the same icon on the left side, I can change the size of my brush. I can change its opacity and I can change its color. So if I click on color, I can pick a different color from the wheel, and now I will be able to draw with that. I can also use shapes here on the top right corner. We can find lots of different shapes, and maybe just select one of these, like a circle, which I can move, and then using the same tool but maybe with a smaller brush size, I can draw around that circle. So it can serve as a guide to make it easier to draw a perfect circle. Of course, I can change its size or even turn it into an ellipse like that. And then let me change my color once again and continue using the same circle. You even have layers here on the right side if you need to create something a bit more complex. And then of course we can go back and select another tool like this one here. This will have a slightly different feel to it. I just deactivated the circle, and as you can see, this second tool has a varied brush size. We also have an eraser here at the bottom with which we can erase sections. And when I feel like I got to a point which I would like to transfer to Illustrator, all I have to do is to go to the top right corner and choose Adobe Desktop Apps. Then decide whether I want to take it into Photoshop or Illustrator, but let's just choose Illustrator. And it's starting to sync within the app, and once it says send, it actually does it automatically and opens it up in case I have Illustrator open on my desktop computer. So let's have a look at these lines here. Each of them are separate objects and they are completely scalable vector graphics, the same as if I use the blob brush, for example, here in Illustrator. Of course, overlapping elements like this circle and the ellipse can be selected individually as well, and anything that I don't need I can delete easily later on. So as I said, Adobe Draw is a simplified version of Illustrator, but it is still very powerful and some users created amazing illustrations with it. So let me switch back to my iPad and show you some of those projects. So when I go down at the bottom and click on Discover, you can see a few of these selected artwork here, and let's just select one of them, maybe this one here. So all of this work was done on a mobile device using Adobe Draw. Really nice style and amazing amount of detail considering this is all created on a mobile device. So let's have a look at the other applications that I mentioned. Adobe Comp is also a great one. Now this is more for creating compositions. It can be images, text and graphics. And this is something that I prepared just to show you how it works. So you can have, for example, a photograph which you can easily scale and crop, almost like as if you were in InDesign. Then you can have text, which once again can be increased or reduced. You can change the font, you can change the copy itself, and you can have items in front or behind of each other. And Adobe Comp can send the final result also to many different desktop applications, including Illustrator as well, of course. So if I select Send to Illustrator CC, just like before, once it's synced and sent, we will get the file opened up on the computer. So while Adobe Draw is more for actual illustrations, Adobe Comp can be used to create these type of compositions where you have all kinds of different assets, including images that you captured with your mobile devices, or just generally things that you are preparing while you are on the go and you would like to continue working with them once you get back to your studio or home and refine in the desktop version whatever you started while you were out. And last but not least, let me show you Adobe Capture as well, which is another brilliant application with which you can easily generate assets like shapes, patterns, colors, brushes, and looks. In this current library, I only had shapes and colors, but you can switch between your Creative Cloud libraries easily. And let me just show you how it works. So if I click on the plus sign here and I want to create a shape, I can click OK to use the camera, or I can use existing photos as well. Now you can see my desk and then you can see the tablet that I have here. If I just tap on my screen, I can already adjust the threshold and it gives me a great preview of how it's going to be traced. So think of this as almost something like live trace, but something that works with your camera. Now if I want, I can also use images that I already have on my mobile device. So I can choose camera roll. Let's try this photograph of Jack Nicholson. And I'm going to increase the threshold just so we can see his wrinkles a bit more. That looks quite good. Now let's go ahead. And we could crop it or erase parts of it if we wanted to refine it, but I can go next. We can decide where we want to save it. So I am going to just save it into the same collection and click at the bottom Save Shape. So you see it shows up in my collection. And if I come back to the desktop computer and go into the Libraries panel and choose the library that we used, I can easily drag and drop the tracing that we created on the mobile device straight into my project. So having these mobile apps at your fingertips means that you don't have to stop creating digital art when you are away from your computer. So you can always be on the lookout for cool things to capture and work on before you get back to your desktop computer, where you can refine and implement them into your projects. And these three were just a selection of the many Adobe mobile apps, so it's definitely worth checking them out, either on your smartphone or on your tablet. Now that we talked a little bit about integration, in the next video, I'm going to briefly mention a few things you can do with Adobe Bridge.